Welcome into Payoff Pitch Action Network's MLB sports betting podcast presented by BetMGM. I am your host today, Charlie Sturko, Brendan Gasheen, off alongside me, BJ Cunningham, Anthony DeBundo, getting ready to break down the 15-game Friday slate. It's August 25th, and we're coming to you live on Friday. Of course, we're always on every Monday, Tuesday, Friday. Be sure to rate, review, and subscribe to the Payoff Pitch podcast. Gents, let's not waste some time. Let's just get right into our best bets. BJ, I'm going to go to you first. Where are you going?
Yeah, like over 9 in Rockies Orioles tonight. We have two pretty bad starting pitchers on the mound. Kyle Freeland on the mound for the Rockies. Boy, he's been a disaster this season. So far, his last 6 starts, giving up 39 hits and 20 earned runs. Overall for the season, 5.4 expected ERA, 5.14 xFIP. And his main problem is because he's getting virtually no swings and misses. His K per 9 rate is sitting at 5.79. He's in the second percentile among Major League starting pitchers in whiff rate, and that is translated to a career high expected weighted on base average allowed and hard hit rate allowed. And the reason why he's getting no swings and misses is because his stuff sucks. He's got a stuff plus rating of 68. His fastball is averaging 88 miles per hour. And now he's going to face an Orioles team that's top 10 weighted on base average and weighted runs carried plus against left-handed pitching. And also the Rockies bullpen is bottom 5 in pretty much every matchup you can look at. So really good matchup here for the Orioles tonight. Cole Irvin will be on the mound for Baltimore. He's a negative regression candidate, 58 innings this season, 4.66 ERA, but his expected ERA is up at 6.03. And basically when he gets hit really hard. He's allowing a 10.5% barrel rate. He's below the 10th percentile in expected batting average allowed, expected weighted on base average allowed, and expected slugging allowed. So I think we're going to see a lot of runs tonight in Baltimore. I had 10.2 runs projected for this game, so I like over 9 runs.
Yeah, this is a game that I targeted in my 777s. Wind also blowing out to help the righties there, right center. So like tacking both Freeland and Irvin. Freeland also, interestingly enough, actually worse on the road than at Coors Field. One of the few pitchers that kind of has those reverse home road splits when you have Coors Field. But Anthony, you got Hunter Green, Brandon Pfaadt on the mound. How are you attacking this pitching matchup?
Yeah, so I do like the under. There is an under 9.5 minus 120, but I actually prefer the under 9 at even money. Brandon Pfaadt has been just a different pitcher since coming back from his AAA stint. He got called up relatively early in the season and got pretty much destroyed, home run after home run after home run. Walk issues were real. The command issues were real. He wasn't able to really locate anything and fell behind and had to come in the zone and got kind of crushed as a result. And that was his first 6 outings. He was really poor. After the 6th outing, he had a 9.82 ERA and had allowed over 2.5 homers per 9. Since the return, which was July 22nd, he has a 3.5 ERA with about 1 strikeout per inning, a whip just over 1, and he has cut the home runs considerably. He's allowed just 5 in those 36 innings. So Pfaadt has improved and refined his command. The stuff has always played up and it's always been above average. And so I think, with the sweeper and against the Reds lineup, he'll have some success. And look, I know Hunter Green was really poor in his first outing back from the injured list, but the stuff looks just as good as ever. Basically, I'm just praying that the ball is able to stay in the yard tonight. Both guys do project home run issues galore, but if those home runs come when there are not runners on base, and I'm encouraged by the improved command we've seen from Pfaadt, then I like the under here. I think the total is about a half run too high.
There you have it. BJ's best bet, Rockies, Orioles, over 9, Anthony's, Reds, D-backs, under 9. Those are the best bets. It's time to fade the public. All right, 83% of bets and 90% of the cash is on the Phillies to take down the Cardinals. That's Christopher Sanchez on the mound for Philadelphia against Miles Mikolas of St. Louis. BJ, do you have any play or feel on this matchup altogether?
I don't really. I projected this pretty close to what the market has it. Christopher Sanchez, obviously a heavy ground ball type pitcher. But Anthony is more well-versed in the Chris Sanchez experience, so I'll let him talk a little bit more about that.
Anthony's heading to the game, so not only does he have some skin in the game in that way, but he also has a play on the total here.
Yep, Citizens Bank Park tonight, wind blowing out 10 miles an hour. should be very favorable for offense, especially for left-handed bats blowing out to right field, which I know Charlie, we talked about this just before the show with 777s. There's a certain lefty on the Phillies that has been doing much better of the last few weeks. And finally may have found his power again. But these are two pitchers that do project for pretty solid home run problems. When you look at Miles Mikolas, he's actually cut the home run rate allowed this year, but it's pretty much only driven by home run to fly ball ratio, and he's gotten pretty fortunate. So there is home run regression coming from Mikolas. Two guys that really have plus command, and Sanchez has done a really nice job refining his command. He's sub 2 walks per 9, as is Mikolas. So there's not going to be a lot of free passes in this game, but the home run issue, I think, is going to be a real significant one for both of these pitchers in Citizens Bank Park tonight. Sanchez has always kind of had a home run issue in the minor leagues, and it has kind of translated here. Barrel rate over 10% allowed, and when he does miss, he tends to get punished because he doesn't have overpowering stuff. But when he does keep the ball down, he's able to generate a good number of ground balls. I like Sanchez as a pitcher. I think he's been a perfectly capable mid-rotation starter, but again, worried about the homers tonight in the conditions being the way they are in Philly with a very humid, very windy night in South Philly. So over 9.5. Don't love the Cardinals bullpen at all either. So that certainly could play a role later in this game against a Phillies lineup.
Right. And Anthony mentioned Bryce Harper. That is that certain lefty, if you couldn't guess it already, 7 home runs in the month of August. And if you look at his graphs, just fly ball and hard hit rate has gone absolutely through the roof over the past month. He's always had the barrel rate. The problem was the balls were just getting pounded into the ground. But there you have it. Anthony likes the over. I like Harper to do some damage, and BJ staying pat in this game. It's time to move on to our underdogs. And BJ, you're heading back to that Reds D-backs game, and you're targeting a side here.
Yeah, I do actually like the Reds here. I think the price is too high on Fod. I know he's one of Anthony's guys, and he's got great stuff plus, and he's pitched better in the month of August, but I don't really think he's got, or at least the Diamondbacks have an advantage in the starting pitching matchup. I mean, Hunter Green, I get it. That start was an absolute disaster against the Blue Jays coming off the IL, but his start in the minors right before that start was very encouraging. He was here in Des Moines, Iowa, against the Iowa Cubs. He struck out 9 batters, didn't give up a run. And the thing about Green is, obviously, his stuff is off the charts. He's got incredible velocity, averaging 98.6 miles per hour on his fastball with a wipeout slider that has over a 40% whiff rate. But his command has obviously been all over the map this season. His walk per 9 rate is above 4. So if he can get his command under control, he will eventually turn into this elite starter. And the Diamondbacks are not only hitting the ball very poorly lately, but against fastballs of 98 miles per hour or faster this season, they have a minus 4.8 run value. Only have a 317 expected weighted on base average. And like Anthony mentioned, Fod has been better as of late. But, given the stuff plus and how these two pitchers projected out before the season, I don't really see the Diamondbacks having a significant edge. And then when you dig into the bullpens, there's really not that much of an advantage here for the Diamondbacks. Whether you look at xFIP, strikeout to walk ratio, stuff plus, all of it is pretty even comparatively between the Diamondbacks and the Reds. And then, if you look over the last 30 days, the Diamondbacks are a bottom 5 offense in terms of weighted on base average. So I projected the Reds as a slight favorite here. So I do like them at plus 130.
Yeah, the D-backs offense has really kind of just fallen off a ledge the last month plus. And if you have your bingo cards at home, that's check off Iowa reference from BJ. Mm-hmm. Anthony going to a Phillies game, and all that's left is me complaining about a bad beat on a side or total. Anthony, where are you headed for your underdog on Friday night?
Anybody want to guess what Corbin Carroll's OPS is in the month of August?
75.
Oh, no, OPS, not OPS plus.
Oh. 675?
698. So he is certainly, you can pretty much draw like a straight line graph from why is the Arizona offense started to fall off and pretty much say, well, look, Corbin Carroll was one of the best hitters in the National League in the first half of the season, and he's been pretty bad in the second half. He had a 979 in June, 879 in May, and now 800 in July, which is still plenty good. But his power has completely disappeared. 698 with a 365 slug in August. So
except last night,
concerning. Maybe hitting the rookie, the quote unquote rookie wall, or league figuring out some things, or just a slump. But Carroll has struggled, even though he will be the rookie of the year. I would take the Reds too, personally. The thing about Arizona is they are very patient, which means that it kind of increases the variance, right? If Green's able to get ahead, this lineup is in trouble because he has stuff to destroy them. If the if the Diamondbacks are patient and they get a lot of favorable counts, that's when you're going to see the homers. I don't think Hunter Green will give up 5 homers per start, though, which is what happened in his last outing against the Blue Jays. My underdog.
Yes, give me. We loved your little story tale on the Reds D-backs. I will say Corbin Carroll did, of course, hit a home run last night to give the D-backs the win, and I'm watching every Reds game. My Reds to make the playoffs,
it's a big series for the wild card.
It is a huge series. A lot on the line. A lot on the line here. The Reds are now a half game out. D-backs in that third spot, but
the Giants are still there.
And speaking of the Giants, you like them to pull off the upset tonight against Atlanta.
Yeah, I mean, Spencer Strider has been my kryptonite most of the season. If you follow me in the app and you follow me, in our Discord, we were joking about it earlier in the season. Anytime I bet the Spencer Strider strikeout under, he would go over by 1. And then I stopped betting it for a little while, and he went under every start for like a month. And now, the market has kind of cooled off on him a little bit. The strikeout rate per 9 is as good as anybody in the league. But there is, one thing, and I think it's meaningful. It's, you look at Strider's numbers and you can say, well, look at his xFIP and look at his ERA and compare the xERA to the ERA. And you can say, oh, yes, well, he is clearly better than he's pitched. And his strikeout minus walk rate is 5% better than every other starter in Major League Baseball. But I think he does get overvalued by the market because, if you just run the strikeout minus walk and what his xFIP should be and what he actually is as a pitcher, he throws more pitches right down the middle than any pitcher, any starter all season long. He's number 1 in pitches middle. Now, his stuff is so good that he does still get a lot of whiffs, and he is still a very capable pitcher of doing that because some hitters just don't hit it. But when you only have 2 pitches and you throw middle as much as he does, it's just going to make you more vulnerable to the long ball, to getting barreled, and to running into some trouble. So he's not somebody like a Jacob deGrom who combines elite stuff with like elite placement. He is more of a, here's my stuff, have fun and try to hit it. And it does result in above average home run rates. And I think that is sticky. And I think when you look at what Strider will be year to year, I think you will consistently see that, especially as he gets second and third time through the order. Teams are not sitting and waiting anymore and saying, I'm going to fall behind 0-2 and then have no chance. So teams are being more aggressive, and so I think the Giants are a little bit undervalued here. It's not my favorite underdog of the year. They certainly have been in an absolute tailspin, but Kapler's ability to mix and match through this lineup behind, they had the day off yesterday, so the bullpen will be rested behind Webb. Not that Webb ever needs the bullpen, but plus 130 at home is a little bit short for me. So I'm going to take the San Francisco Giants and think that the market is just a little too high on Spence.
There you go. Anthony's underdog, the San Francisco Giants against Atlanta Braves, and BJ taking Hunter Green and the Reds against Arizona. All right, gents, last set of bets. I'm going to start with BJ because BJ is actually going against you at some capacity in that Braves-Giants game. BJ, give me your final best bets.
I mean, I bet it last night. The Braves first 5 minus 140. The best price you can find out there is minus 150. That's about my cutoff in terms of first 5 line. I get it, Anthony. I get it. Strider's throwing the ball a little more down the middle, but I don't think that this Giants lineup is the one that's going to be able to actually hit him. I mean, last 30 days, they've been second worst in terms of weighted on base average, hitting the second fewest home runs in Major League Baseball. So I'm going to bet against their offense and Logan Webb, who has been good, 3.6 expected ERA. Just projection models rate out Strider just significantly better than Webb in terms of projection. Other ones, Marlins, Nationals over 8. We have Johan Don on the mound, who projects out to be around a 5 ERA type pitcher, along with Braxton Garrett, who's a big negative regression candidate. It's got an expected ERA sitting around 4.6. And the Nationals hit left-handers pretty well. So those are my other 2 picks for today.
And Anthony, take us home. You also have a pair of bets left.
Yeah, Yohan Adon had that 1 7-inning perfect game that he was pitching against the Reds, and then ever since then, it's been back to the good old Yohan we love and laugh at. He got roughed up his last couple outings, but big series. We haven't talked about it yet. I have to discuss the Padres. I'm contractually obligated to mention them in every episode that I appear in. So I do think the total's a touch high today. I've always been higher than the market on Brandon Woodruff. He's come back from injury. The strikeouts have not come back yet. He didn't really do a ton in terms of the strikeouts in his last outing against a lineup that I would have expected him to have more success from a whiff perspective against. But the stuff looks good. The stuff looked good in his rehab. And so I have no reason to think that he's really diminished as a pitcher. And so I do think this total's a little bit high. This is the kind of series, the Padres have used Josh Hader 5 times all month. So if they start using him more and they start using their higher leverage guys behind Darvish, I think that they're going to be a pretty good run prevention system. I just still have question marks about this offense, and I still don't think it's nearly as good as they get priced every night. So I like the under here.
I will. Well, let me before you give your last one out, I want to go back to the Padres just for a sec because it's interesting, right? You mentioned Hader hasn't pitched at all or 5 times in this last month. Do you think it's more of a thing that he won't pitch in his contract year in that 8th and the extra? That's what it is, and that's what has ultimately led to their.
Yeah, I do. Well, that was the thing last year, right? The Brewers tried using him in 2-inning stints and using him in the more high leverage deployable situation, and then he didn't really appreciate it. So I think that was part of the reason he got traded too. It was just a difference in philosophy, and they weren't going to pay him and whatever. But the situation is weird. But 2 elite closers still in this matchup, which I do appreciate when I bet an under because I'm tired of losing games on bad bullpens in the 9th inning. But under 8 plus 100. I know BJ. I think you bet the under 2, and Charlie bet his Padres every day. But I do like I like both pitchers more than I like both offenses in this one, and I think it's a touch high. So under 8, and then probably the most surprising line of the day is that this Dodgers Red Sox over keeps getting bet up. I know that Cutter Crawford doesn't have the most overpowering stuff, but he's been a pretty quality mid-rotation starter for his time with the Red Sox, and his stuff plus has marginally trended downward since he became a full-time starter, left the bullpen, which is to be expected. But Lance Lynn, we've talked about him, career-high strikeout minus walk, whiff rates in the zone as good as ever, and now the Dodgers have tweaked his pitch mix to help him get barreled less. And it has worked for him so far, and he's somebody we've identified consistently on this show as a bet-on candidate. So I did take the Dodgers and the Red Sox first 5 under 5.5, split it with a full game because the Red Sox bullpen has had great results, but you look at the names on the list and you're just like, how have they pulled this off? And so I do have a little bit of concern about their bullpen regressing, but the totals are too high. I would expect this to be around 10 and 5, not 5.5, 10.5. So a lot of totals for me today, and baseball unders never go well for me. So we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, it seems like all the totals always seem to mess up some way or another with the bullpens blowing it up. I just real quick, I do like the Padres. I will just say, Darvish, one of the most interesting pitchers, and I always expect him to pitch better. It suggested underlying metrics suggest that he will pitch better, which plays into your under just a 3.68 expected ERA, but his ERA still manages to be in that mid-4 range. But there you have it. BJ is on, just a quick recap, the Rockies Orioles over 9, the Cincinnati Reds on the money line at plus 140, the Nationals Marlins over 8, and the Braves over the first 5. His cutoff is at minus 150. As for Anthony, Reds D-backs under 9 was his best bet. He's on the over 9.5 in the Phillies game. The Giants, his money line underdog pick. And then the Brewers, Padres under 8, and then splitting on the Dodgers, Red Sox first 5 and full game under. That'll do it for Friday's edition of Payoff Pitch. Brendan Glasheen will be back on the sticks hosting this on Monday. We're here every Monday, Tuesday, and Friday. Don't forget to rate, reviews, and subscribe. And yes, Brendan, I'm sorry we did not mention Shohei Ohtani, but that's your mention right now. Angels are just on a free fall. See you guys next time.